shrapnel.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Film Shrapnel, your number one spot for everything movies. My name's Tobias. This is my co-anchor and partner in crime, Craig. Hello, Craig.
How's it going, man?
I'm good. Wild at heart. I fucking love it. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah. You're already enjoying the music as well.
Oh, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, we're doing Wild at Heart today. And I think it's interesting that we're doing this right after Megalopolis. Because when I watch this, I think this is exactly what Francis Ford Coppola's going for in Megalopolis. And he's failing miserably. I would say this is a fable. This is a modern fable, not Francis Ford Coppola shite's Megalopolis crap.
No, yeah, I agree. This, I think we really needed to watch this film, something good, because we did have some great movies at the beginning of the season, but after watching Neil Breen and Megalopolis, I'm really happy that we watched something that's legendary. And I'd actually never seen this film. I'd seen quite a few of Lynch's films, but I'd never seen this one until now. So I'm really happy we did this.
I mean, I'm a huge, huge fan of Wild at Heart. This, I mean, just full disclosure, Craig, and for those watching, maybe a spoiler alert. This is one of my all-time favourite movies. This is in my top five for sure.
Not to offend you or the film, it will not be taken lightly.
You better not criticize this film too much, because boy oh boy do I love this movie.
But you don't have to really worry about that, to be honest, Tobias, because I actually also really like this movie as well. And by the way, it's another Cage film as well. It
is another Cage film. I would say this is the best Nick Cage film, or it's definitely up there. It's not the best Nick Cage performance, but it's, as a movie, it's fucking wonderful.
He fits the character so well.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And as much as I think a lot of people talk about David Lynch being this very dark filmmaker. This film, it's very romantic, very light. It's still wacky as fuck, as you would expect a David Lynch film to be. But this is his romantic side. And I won't lie to you, Craig. I cry at the end of this movie. When he starts singing, I cry every time. This film really touches me. I really love it.
Well, yeah. I was actually not expecting that at the end as well. While the credits are rolling and Cage is just singing. It's okay.
And
pretty nice.
And no cutaway as well. That's in one take. But we'll get to it. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that people sort of put David Lynch in a box of he's a scary, weird man. And if anything, he's quite comedic. I think a lot of stuff that he puts in his films are really funny. And this film has its funny moments, but it's also very earnest, and it's just about love. And it's interesting, so we've got a lot of Wizard of Oz references throughout this entire film. I'm sure I read somewhere that David Lynch's favourite film is The Wizard of Oz.
No, it totally makes sense with this one.
Yeah.
It's throughout the whole film, yeah.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz is very relevant, and we don't know why, and we'll probably, as much as we're going to speculate, we might be way off the mark. What I have to say, I do love about Lynch, when people ask him in interviews, oh, what does this mean? Or did you get this from this? He'll either go, no, or he'll go, it's not important what I think, or something like that. Like he's so reluctant to explain anything
I
about his
think,
cinema.
yeah, I think we spoke a bit about this last time when we were watching Megalopolis. Uh, a bit about because in Megalopolis, Coppola was trying to have some very unusual moments with some deeper meaning. Like I'm thinking now about the statues that were moving, and it
Yeah,
bugged me because I felt that it just didn't fit in with everything else in the film.
it
You
doesn't have
have,
to.
yeah, but I feel that it needed to in that kind of film. But with Lynch, it's different. He can do that, and it still fits and works. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. And it doesn't feel unusual. It doesn't bug you. It doesn't feel like, why the fuck is this happening? Why is it so weird all of a sudden? It just fits him. He just knows how to balance that really well, which I really like about when I watch his films.
This is it. Like, I think maybe, I think the best way to sort of talk about Lynch, he finds beauty in the nonsense. Like
Mm.
he can find beauty in like the unexplainable. Um, I think it's important that there is no right or wrong answer when reading his cinema. I think it's quite important to him, and I think he's I reckon he's even like considering how you as the audience feel when you're watching a scene.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Lynch does have a meaning behind everything. I just think he knows that if he explains it, it'll take something away from like the sort of mystery, like the sort of because I suppose you watch a David Lynch film with the hope that you can figure something out. I mean, I would say Wild at Heart, it doesn't like it's easy enough to follow. The storyline is pretty straightforward, but there's just elements throughout where it's like, why the fuck is this happening? Or like I say, this whole Wizard of Oz motif that is so surface level throughout the entire film, and yet the plot line doesn't resemble the Wizard of Oz. That he's obviously using the Wizard of Oz to sort of hearken to certain things, but he'll be damned if he's going to explain it. He's refusing to explain it, and I don't want him to. And now that he's
Mm.
passed, and I think that's another reason why we did David Lynch, because we want to show respect to a deceased legend of cinema. I think it's the one silver lining about him passing away is people will stop asking him what everything means. That's the one silver lining, and we'll definitely never get an answer. And
You know what?
that helps, I think, with his work. He'll never explain his body of work, and I don't want him to.
Well, yeah, I think that kind of comes down to him coming from an artistic background, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah,
I think it's like you ever go to a gallery and you see the artwork and you don't really know what's going on. They never usually explain it. Maybe they'll give you a name, the artist, the year that it was painted, and it's up to you as the viewer to kind of interpret what's going on there. And I think
yeah,
that's a similar thing. I think that's what Lynch does with his movies as well. You view it in the same way. It's up to you to interpret how you want to.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it, the difference between something like this and Megalopolis is that this will be critically acclaimed, whereas Megalopolis there's nothing to sort of really enjoy. It's just self-indulgent nonsense. I mean, I suppose Lynch's work is also self-indulgent nonsense, but he knows how to present it, and he can find the beauty in it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do love Lynch. I do love this film. Shall we get into it? Shall we get into
Yes.
Wild at Heart?
Go on.
Right.
Lead us away.
Okay. But basic plot, very straightforward plot. It's about a guy and a girl who are madly in love. The guy is a bit of a bad boy, and basically the girl's mum tries to smash him, and when he says no, she turns around and is like, well, I know that you know something about my dead husband, so you either fuck me or I grass you up to my daughter. and he still refuses. So she just tries to get him killed. The guy tries to kill him. Nick Cage ends up beating the life out of him and like smashing his skull open, and he gets like 2 years in prison. And then we fast forward 2 years. He comes out of prison. His girlfriend was waiting for him, and then they go on like a road trip movie while people are trying to kill them, like Roadrunner style. And yeah, that's pretty much the crux of the plot. It's a road movie. It's very Thelma and Louise, or Natural Born Killers. It's very much in that guise, but they're not bad people. They're just people that have had bad luck.
It's funny you mentioned Natural Born Killers, actually, because I was just thinking of two other films Wild at Heart reminds me of. The first one that comes to mind is Raising Arizona,
yes,
which is like a year or two after this one, I think, or maybe even the same year. Both have Nicolas Cage in it, and the character seems very similar. I mean, the story is different, but it's quite similar in some respects. And also that movie with what's his name, Christian Slater, True Romance as well. It also reminds me of that. And I'm wondering actually if Wild at Heart kind of inspired those movies, because it feels like this film started something, if you know what I mean.
Wasn't True Romance in the 80s?
I think it's the early 90s. Let me check, actually. I'll give you exact year.
I thought it was late 80s.
Nah, 93.
93.
And also, what was the other one I mentioned? Raising Arizona.
91.
87, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Did not expect that.
I mean, this sort of comes in between Lynch doing some Twin Peaks stuff. I think he did season 1, this, and then something else, and then another Twin Peaks. But maybe the performance is Raising Arizona, but like maybe this did sort of inspire some Quentin Tarantino stuff. Who's to say?
It's very possible.
Because the vibe is certainly there. Two people in love on a road trip, but they're sort of outside the law. Because he's on parole. He's breaking parole to go on this road trip with her.
Yeah. It's also that there's this feel in this movie that I really like. I don't know if it also rubs off on you a bit as well. It's just like being in the desert in the southern part of the US, the middle of nowhere, kind of got no real direction. Is there something about it, something isolating, but also a bit...
Yeah,
I don't know.
Freeing as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of movies in the 90s that have that kind of feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the music really lends to it as well, man. I really loved it. You know what? Actually, I forgot. I don't know why I knew this, but so I hadn't seen this film till we decided to watch it, right? And for some reason, I was so sure, and I don't know why I knew this, but I had a feeling that song by Chris Isaac. Is it Chris Isaac? Wicked Game. I knew it was in this film, and I Googled it, and I was correct. And why do I know that? And I remember it comes up. It's only for a short moment. It's in this film. It's when Sailor and Lula are driving in the night before they come across this car crash, and it's just on the radio, like in the background.
Oh, what
like,
the bow wow bow bow bow.
Nah, I don't know. I'll send it to you later. But I was kind of surprised that it was in this. And I also found out that for that same song, Lynch directed the music video for the guy, which really surprised me. So I really don't know why I knew that. There was just something about it. Like, it just feels that song really connects with this movie. And I just went on a hunch and I was weirdly right. But maybe I knew it somehow without knowing. I don't know.
I mean, I like the whole soundtrack, but like I would say the heavy metal stylings of Power Mad is is something that I fucking love about this. Like, they just cut through the atmosphere with some like really heavy American thrash, and it doesn't feel like it belongs in a lot of places, but it does at the same time. Like, it's very Lynch. Should we just go through the film in chronological order, even though that doesn't really make sense? Does that make sense in a Lynch film?
I'm going to go on tangents and mislead you in different directions because that's what I always do.
That's fine. Well, first things first, Nick Cage is good. I really love Laura Dern in this movie, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's great. I think she looks spectacular. And I love his name is Sailor. He's called Sailor, and her name's Lulu. Lula, sorry. And the way she pronounced it, he's like, Sailor! Sailor! And I'm like, I love that sort of southern drawl. I love all the performances from everyone. I think Nick Cage is really good. Like I say, I don't think it's his best performance, but I do think it's one of, if not his best movie. When I've already explained the beginning, when he gets out of prison, Lula gives him his snakeskin jacket, and I just love. Did I ever tell you that this is a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom? I just love it. I just love it, and I really like the jacket as well.
It is a nice jacket.
It's a fucking awesome jacket, and I don't agree with like killing an animal to make a fashionable thing. But my God, then there's a lot of snakes that must have gone into making that jacket. It's a fucking gorgeous jacket.
Or one giant snake to make that jacket.
Well, that has to be a really fucking big snake.
Yeah. But he gets called out on the jacket as well at some points as well. And he's always quick to mention, it's a symbol of my individuality, like you said.
And belief and personal freedom. And also, he is doing a sort of over-the-top impression of Elvis the whole way through the movie. And I do think Elvis also, as much as Wizard of Oz is a much bigger component to this film, I also think Elvis is a big component to this film. Mm-hmm. Not only in Nick Cage's performance, but also the music choices as well. We talk about Elvis at one point, and then we'll get to the end as well. But Elvis obviously plays a big role in this. And again, it's like there's so many elements, and none of them seem to make any logistical cohesion. And yet, it does. There is a perfect balance of everything.
Yeah. You know what else I found out, by the way, when I was just reading in Wikipedia? I'm going on a tangent, by the way, so prepare yourself.
Yes, fine. Yeah, I'm prepared.
So did you know that the woman that plays Luna's mother is really her real mother in real life?
That's Laura Dern's real mum?
Yeah, Diane Ladd is her name.
I think she might give the best performance in the whole movie. She's brilliant and scary with how insane she is.
Mm.
But she pulls it off really, really well. I really like her performance in this. I think she's one of the most memorable things about the movie, and I can't say I've seen her in much else.
No, I don't think I've seen her in anything, to be honest.
I think she's in other Lynch stuff. Perhaps,
yeah. But you know what else is it? I think we need to explain another thing, by the way, before we get... So, we need to explain about the kind of organized... How would you even call it? Not exactly an organization, but there's a group of contract killers, would you say? That are pretty weird in this film.
So the Laura Dern's mum is mixed up with this guy called Santos, and he works for a guy called Mr. Rainbow or something, Mr. Reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Reindeer is like this, he's like the head of like this organized group of contract killers. And Nick Cage used to do some driving for one of them. Santos. And we also know that he has a history with Isabella Rossellini's character as well, who I can't remember her character name, and I didn't write it down.
Yeah, that's also there as well. And so I'm getting confused here. So Santos, he doesn't only want to kill Sailor, he also wants to kill
Harry Dean Stanton.
Yes, who is like this kind of I guess he's a detective, right?
Yeah, he's like he's a PI.
Yeah, and
who's like smashing Laura Dern's mum, and she's just sort of using him, but at the same time she doesn't want him to like die.
Yeah, because Santos doesn't want anyone to find out that he was responsible with Marietta Fortune, I see her name's here, that they basically killed her husband.
Yeah.
And
Lula's
I'm not really sure.
Lula's dad, yeah.
I'm not really sure what they must have got out of it, except maybe he had some money, the father. They don't really explain if there was anything else.
I think it's just that like her and Santos were a thing, and they just wanted to get him out of the way. Because when we see her talking to Johnny or Harry Dean Stanton, he says, "Are you still seeing Santos?" And she's like, "Oh, I would never do that to you. I'd never do that to you. What do you take me for?" While she's already called him up and he wants to murder him. So,
yeah. So there's a complexity with her character.
Yeah,
she's trying to balance it.
She's a bit of a rambunctious, mischievous scamp.
Indeed, yeah. And also, so we got who else do we have in Mr. Reindeer's group? There's like,
so we also have I forget their names, but you've got like this man and woman couple who she's got like a brace on her leg, and they basically fuck each other right before killing you, like in front of you. But her daughter, presumably her daughter, because they look exactly the same except one much younger, is Isabella Rossellini as well. And she's mixed up with Bobby Faroux, who we'll get to. Let's not talk about him yet.
Oh, yes.
We'll wait, because I fucking love Bobby Faroux. Bobby Faroux. Anyway, so like, to be fair, while they're establishing this, we also see, to be fair, you say we've gone off on a tangent, but this is kind of in chronological order with the film anyway. But like, while they're introducing these guys, Lula explains how she was molested by her uncle, and she said that the mum never understood or never knew about him. But then the flashback we get, the mum flat out captures him and beats the living shit out of him. So I think the reason why she's mixed up with Santos in the first place is because she got Santos, they arranged for the uncle to get murdered. Because we know that he drove his car off a cliff. We don't know if it's foul play or not, but I think we can assume that the mum got into bed with Santos to get rid of the uncle that molested Lula.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
I mean, it's speculation.
It makes her seem not so evil after all, in some ways.
Well, this is it. I don't think she's evil. I just think she's like overprotective and a bit insane. But then, yeah, you're right. So this is where she hires like the hitmen. She gets Johnny involved, or Harry Dean Stanton. She gets Santos involved, and then we see that Santos. what the way it's organized is you have to drop a silver dollar and the specifics of the hit through a letterbox, and it's ran by this guy, Mr. Reindeer. And when we first meet him, he receives a phone call while taking a shit on the toilet with a cup of coffee with very fine china, and a naked woman just sort of stood there for him to look at.
Yeah,
so
beautiful scene.
That's the kind of power we're dealing with.
Yeah, wish I was that powerful.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that with that power, though.
I might.
I do other things.
Oh, jeez.
I definitely wouldn't use my power to drink a cup of coffee on the toilet.
Well, sometimes they go hand in hand, don't they? Maybe you need the coffee to take the shit.
Well, yeah, but they're not simultaneous.
Depends how bad you are. Yeah.
Fair enough.
How constipated do you feel at the minute?
Well, I won't be having any coffee anytime soon, that's for sure. So the mum's mental. She's the one that tried to fuck Sailor and then started. This is the thing; it's all the mum's fault. All the events of the movie. It all falls to the mum. Now you might think, in the moment you might think that, like, why doesn't Sailor just come, say to Lula, yeah, your mum tried to fuck me, and then when I said no, she got a guy to try and stab me in public. But then we'd obviously later find out that, he knows something, or at least they think he knows something about the death of Lula's dad. Because he was there that night.
Even though he still says that he didn't actually see anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I really like about this, is that he's flat out saying, I didn't see anything. But, like, we can piece it together. Like, nothing is shown clearly, but it's very clear, Santos and the mum killed the dad. We know Santos definitely did. But more than likely because of the mum as well, because she is an absolute weapon. So then we go to a heavy metal club.
They want to go dancing.
We gotta go dancing. Shake a tail feather. And I love this sequence because you've got this, like, really intense heavy metal music by Power Mad, an American thrash band. And then some guy starts getting fresh with Lula. And Cage just sticks a hand up and the band just stop playing so he can, like, shout at this guy, no, you got to say sorry to my girl. And then, like, they have this, like, little fight. He forces him to apologize, and then Laura Dern's like, hell, you just bumped up against the wrong girl, that's all. And then, also, I love, like, Laura Dern's hand is, like, constantly in her hair. Her arm is constantly at a right angle, like, the whole movie. And, like, it's obviously very, very intentional. But I don't know what that's a reference to, if it's even a reference to anything.
I think it's her age.
Maybe. I thought it was meant to be a reference to something, maybe like Grease or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one, actually.
And then, so then he says sorry, he fucks off, and then he says to the band, play some Elvis. And then he just starts singing Elvis to her in the nightclub. And it's really romantic and lovely.
And everyone just falls in love with him, don't they?
Yeah. and she says to him, Sailor, I thought Love Me Tender was your favourite love song. And he says, well, I'll only sing Love Me Tender to my wife. And then that will be relevant later. But yeah. And then we get a beautiful sequence where they're sort of laying in bed. Oh, there's a lot of sex scenes, by the way.
Yes.
I'm gonna brush past the sex scenes, but we have a lot of different coloured lighting. We have a lot of interesting editing styles thrown in. So like the sex scenes are quite interesting because they're not. I suppose they are sexy, but they're not like. They're not. How do you say this without being too gross? You're not going to rub one out.
They're not pornographic, is what you're trying to say.
Exactly. They're not. They're sexy, but they're not pornographic. Like they're actually quite sort of. They're filmed quite beautifully, and edited quite strangely. So like, yeah, they're very cool. But then we have this sequence where they're talking in bed after a good shagging, and they're talking about like brands of cigarettes, and she says to him like that she started smoking when she's like 15 or something. She's like, "When did you start smoking, sailor?" And he's like, "Well, I must have been about 4." So he's been chain smoking since he was 4. Marlboros as well.
Yeah.
And then we keep getting like these Wizard of Oz flashes. Like we got one where they're like talking and then it goes into a crystal ball and we see the witch's hand in front of the crystal ball. We get this other one where like the she can remember the house with her dad in burning down, and then like the Wicked Witch of the West like sort of comes up flying on a broomstick. Presumably these are meant to be allegories for her mother, you know, like
but also
the bad witch is like the mum being mental, but then the good witch is like the mum that she remembers from childhood, something to that effect.
It's mostly, oh no, I was going to say it's almost completely for Lula, isn't it? But actually at the ending, there is a witch, actually a good witch.
Yes,
so
we'll get to it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, is it something like specifically just for Lula? Like maybe it was her favorite movie when she was a child. But I just remember that final scene. So that's wrong.
There is a bit later on where the mum goes a bit mental, draws lipstick all over her face, and chundas in the bath, in the toilet, sorry. And then like we get a shot of her feet, and her feet are like she's wearing like curled shoes, like when the house drops on the witch at the beginning of Wizard of Oz, like her feet curl up. So like the mum has an element of it there as well. But yeah, we get this really funny line as well, where Laura Dern says, I forget now who she's talking to. I think I think maybe her dad, but it was like, my daddy always said that I like a woman with breasts that stood up and said hello.
Yeah.
I've written a few of my favourite lines down for this one. And then, so this is when Cage and Laura Dern decide to break parole and go driving around the States, which does sound like an awful lot of fun. And then we can see Santos is like now being brought in to kill Sailor. He also wants to kill Harry Dean Stanton. And then you got the whole Mr. Reindeer stuff. All of that stuff happens around now after they decide to go on this road trip.
Mm-hmm. To New
Orleans. And then Sailor starts telling Lula this sex story about some like brunette girl that he was smashing. And he's going into like pretty vivid detail as well. And he tells this story, and then she opens her legs and says, "Come and take a bite of peach." and then Laura Dern's like, "Oh, Sailor, baby, you got me hotter than Colorado asphalt." And then they have to go back and fuck again. There's, like I said, there's so much sex at the beginning of the movie. And then she tells the story about her cousin Jingle Dell, played by Crispin Glover, who is brilliant. Love Crispin Glover. And this is one of my favourite Crispin Glover. Like, I like Crispin Glover. I think he's great in Back to the Future. He's like the one of the few good things in that Charlie's Angels movie. But in this, my all-time favorite Crispin Glover moment, where they're talking about like how he loves Christmas, and then they're talking about how he puts cockroaches down his pants and put them on his arsehole and stuff because he likes the feel. And then we get a shot of him like crouching a little bit, like he's trying to get it to angle right, like exactly where he wants it to be. But then we get this moment where he's been making sandwiches all night, and there's just like scraps of bread and filling everywhere, all over the table. And then his mum comes, just like, "What are you doing?" And he just freaks out and he just slams the table. He goes, "I'm making my lunch." And I'm like, oh, fucking love Crispin Glover. This is weird, like, so weird. I think Crispin Glover's perfect for David Lynch. Anyway, so and again, they tell this story, and then they talk about how he disappeared and no one ever heard from him again. And it's like, why are we hearing this story? Like, you cast a really good actor to do this role, and it's really just a throwaway, like, we're not coming back to this. This is not going to be relevant. I mean, maybe the reason why he disappeared is because he was a family shame, and maybe Laura Dern's mum got Santos to deal with him. Maybe. We know it's not beneath her. But they definitely don't make that obvious. Like, it's just a throwaway thing.
Yeah, I was thinking it was more something about life and how they wanted to live their life, perhaps. Because
I mean, they definitely don't sell his way of life.
No. Like, it's tragic to live that way, and they want to live free. They don't want to have...
Yes.
They don't want to live a life that's like, I don't know how would you compare it, really?
Well, but then this is it. When she finishes the story, Nick Cage goes, "Well, if only he could have visited that Wizard of Oz and get some good advice." So he's referencing Wizard of Oz as well all the time.
Maybe that was the first movie they watched together or something. I don't know. Netflix
Maybe.
and chill.
Then I like this sequence as well. When they're like driving down the road, some like really heavy news comes on the radio, like just like bad shit happening in the world. And Lula just freaks out and has to pull the car over. And she's like, "Put some music on, sailor, put some music on." And he puts on some heavy metal and they start like going mental. But I like this scene. I find it interesting because I think I believe there's like an element to this of like, like we actively ignore the real things going on in the world and then put some and drown it out with like something loud and easy to distract you, like heavy metal. But other, I just felt like he's saying something about, if you're truly to be free, you've got to unchain yourself from the shackles of media, and the moment you do, it's a reality check, and you're like, oh fuck, this shit's going on.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Like I won't lie, I actively I don't live in America or the UK, but like when I did, I cared an awful lot about politics, and now that I don't, it's very easy for me to just sort of switch my brain off to that, because otherwise it's going to bother me. So I just turn my brain off to all this shit that I hear in the news, and I couldn't help but relate to this moment with Laura Dern, just sort of freaking out, going, "Quick, put some fucking thrash metal on." So we don't have to think about the real world. So I just find it interesting and relatable, that moment. And I wonder if you had any thoughts on that, because I think it's quite relevant today.
I don't think it ever stops not being relevant.
True.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, it's even you're more surrounded by it now than ever. Like just on your phone, you can't escape it.
No.
No, yeah, but yeah, obviously the characters don't want to live in the real world. They want to live in their own kind of like their idea. Because again, Cage's character, one of the first things we hear him say, like when he puts on his snakeskin jacket, is that he wants to be free. He wants to live a free like that as well. And they're constantly talking about Wizard of Oz, which is like a kind of fantasy thing. So they want to be. It's almost as if they don't want to face the fact that maybe deep down they know that they won't always be together. Maybe this trip that they're planning is not going to quite really work out.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that they address at the end as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, we'll get to it. I want to save the chat for the end at the end.
Yeah.
So the mum then goes to see Harry Dean Stanton in the hotel. She's like, "We could go to our favourite restaurant." And this is when Nick Cage comes clean to Lula about her dad. And she's like, "That's some hell of a secret you've had there, sailor." So, hope you don't think I've been lying to you about everything else. Just that little doozy, little white lie about your dead dad. I think I'd be way more pissed off if I was Lula.
Me too.
And again, we see the witch, the wizard, the Wicked Witch of the West, sort of following them on her broomstick. And then they come across a car crash, which I think is meant to foreshadow the relationship, and we also see it later as well. But they come across a car crash. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say at the end of that scene with the car crash, I think, doesn't Lula mention something about it being like a bad omen or something?
Yes,
as well.
She mentions it's a bad omen, and it does come up again right at the end. But again, keep it in mind, gentle viewers. But there's dead bodies everywhere, and there's a girl that's badly injured, and she's got like an exposed brain. She keeps like picking it, like, "Oh, there's something sticky in my hair," and she literally dies in their arms.
Yeah.
And Laura Dern is like really shaken by this. She's like, "Oh my God, she just died right in front of us."
That scene felt kind of very strange to me.
Yeah.
In the wrong way, because I'm going to say something bad, so get ready to defend the film, Tobias. It felt like she looked fine, actually, really. I mean, she didn't look that bad. She was walking around and everything. She was kind of not really conscious. Well, conscious, but not really aware.
What?
And like, it felt like Dern's character kept saying, "Oh, she's dying. It's like she could still be okay. It felt like they were trying to get to a point where she was dead. Come on, die already.
Yeah, but she does have like but she does have an exposed brain.
I didn't see that bit. Maybe I didn't see that part.
There's a bit where she's scratching her head. She said, "There's something sticky in my hair." And then, like, the sound effect, like, you just know that she's just digging her finger in her brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I
so
missed
she
that.
dies. And yeah, apparently that's a bad part of the movie, but fuck you.
I got to say something, right? I want to test you a little bit, see how you react.
You can try and tell me that there's elements of this film that are bad, and I'll just have to tell you why you're wrong.
That's fine.
But feel free to be devil's advocate. I can't wait to hear your rating of the film. So yeah, after this sequence, we see that like Harry Dean Stanton's been kidnapped by the crazy couple that kill you while fucking in front of you. And there's a letter from Harry Dean Stanton that's like, "I've gone buffalo hunting." But this is it's so obviously like a really dumb letter that's like an excuse for, we've just kidnapped and murdered him. But the mum literally is like, he's gone and been a coward again. And it's like, wait, hang on a minute. Like, you recognise that this is the dumbest fucking excuse in the world, and your instinct is the people that are trying to kill him didn't kill him. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
I think she does know, especially with Santos
so.
comes up. But she just chooses to ignore it, like we say with the news with Laura Dern. Like, she just chooses to ignore the obvious.
I was thinking it was more because she was talking in front of other people. Because you had the people at the hotel there. And
yeah, but they leave.
Yeah, but they're right in front of her when she's reading the letter, aren't they?
Yeah, but they leave when Santos comes up.
Did they? I can't remember.
I think
maybe
also
you're right.
I wrote it down, although I don't think it's this part of the movie. But I wrote down that, like, Laura Dern's mum calls Sailor, you think I want my daughter to be with a piece of SHI tut like you? And I really like that line. To be fair, I think my notes are a little bit out of order. I don't think this moment happens here either. There's a guy in a bar. This is a random moment. Just David Lynch's random moments with film shrapnel. Today's random moment, a guy coming up to Nick Cage going, "Ah! Ah!
Yeah, what was
Pigeons!
that?
Pigeons catch diseases!" Like fucking Gollum. Yeah, I don't think it's this part of the movie, though. I think
they're in New Orleans. Yeah, I think that's earlier. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's around the bit. I think that's around the bit where they're telling the story about eating the peach. But yeah, random David Lynch moments. A guy doing a Daffy Duck impression.
Very strange. Yes.
Very
By
odd.
the way, speaking again about Stanton's character, and
yeah, this is the last we see of him.
Is it okay? Because I was going to ask, what happens to him?
He's
dies.
Kidnapped. They kill him. They fuck in front of him and then kill him.
Do they shoot him?
Well, we don't see it.
We don't see it.
We don't see him die. We just see the foreplay beforehand.
Aha, the foreplay suggests that he is murdered after. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Sex and murder and violence are tied together in Lynch stuff.
They are indeed. Yes.
Also, by the way, I also noticed, the fucking couple that kill you, who kill Harry Dean Stanton. When we first meet them, did you notice there's a guy with glasses standing with them who doesn't have any dialogue the whole movie?
Yeah, I remember him as well. Yeah.
Did you recognize him?
Who is he?
Warriors, come out to play. Yeah.
Fuck. Why is he?
Why doesn't he
no dialogue?
I know. Isn't that weird? That, like, he's a proper actor. He's been in stuff before, and they're just like, we'll just have you in the background. He's an extra.
Yeah, that's very strange. This is the third film we've done with him in it. That's kind of strange.
Yeah, right.
Damn.
I forget his name, but I like him.
He's the Warriors guy.
Just Warriors guy, yeah. Or Sully from Commando.
What was his name? Luther was his name. Yes, Luther from Warriors.
But then Nick Cage goes to see Isabella Rossellini, who I can only assume is the daughter of the woman with the brace, because they have the same haircut, same hair color, similar accent. They have pictures of each other together, so like they must be mother and daughter. And Sailor goes to visit her and is like, we had an agreement that if there was a hit out on one of us, we'd help the other one out. And she says no, but there is, and she does know about it. But did you know Isabella Rossellini was David Lynch's real life partner at this point.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with her, to be honest. I've heard the name, but I don't really know who she is.
She's done a bunch of stuff, and she's done an awful lot of David Lynch stuff. She's in Blue Velvet as well. She's in a lot of stuff. But I forget now, there's actually like a rom-com movie with her. And believe it or not, David Lynch plays like the leading man.
What? What is this film?
I'll look. Let me find it.
I've only seen Lynch act a few times. Like, I think the last time I saw him acting was at the end of that Steven Spielberg movie, the one about his life. And for some reason, Lynch plays that very. I think that director whose last name's Ford. I forgot his first name.
Who?
Yeah, it was. What was his name? Yeah, David Lynch plays John Ford in The Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans, yeah.
Film. Yeah. And he's really nice, actually. He's got an eye patch as well, and he's perfect for it. Yeah,
well,
great.
I haven't watched The Fabelmans yet, but I'll get round to it. I'd like to watch it.
It's a good film. Did you find your film, the rom-com?
Well, it's a drama. If it's this one, then it's a drama. It's called Zelly and Me.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Tina Rathbone. It's a drama about an orphan who lives with her grandma in Virginia, and she's infatuated with the voices of Joan of Arc. And then she meets a wealthy man played by David Lynch, and then they have a real life relationship. And they were really in a relationship at the time.
Yeah. It's a strange choice for him. I'm just looking at pictures now, and he's so young back then. Wow. All right. That's a very random fact.
I still think we could do a whole year of David Lynch episodes. I honestly, he's done so much.
I'd be very up for that. It would be so easy. I'd be excited to. I would watch several films at once if I could. It would be fantastic.
Maybe that's how you're meant to watch David Lynch films. Like, you get 20 different screens up, and then you start them all at the same time, and then it will reveal a hidden message.
Or it will just start being violent all of a sudden at the same moment. I don't know.
Maybe that's real world Videodrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is when we're introduced to Barbie Faru, who is Willem Defoe, and he's so good.
Yeah. I think this is the only time I've ever seen Willem Defoe and Nicolas Cage in the same film together. I don't know if I've seen them together apart from this one.
Well, see, now that you've said that, I'm struggling, but I'm sure there must be. So we're introduced to Willem Dafoe's character. He has gross fucking teeth. He is a gross human being. But my God, is he good in this movie? Is Barbie Faru, and like everything feels like there's like there's a menaceness. Like he's just menacing as this character. So we introduced to him. Then we get a flashback of Lula had obviously got pregnant by the uncle that was molesting her, and then she had an abortion. And then she tells Sailor that she's pregnant, to which Nick Cage's reaction is to light 3 cigarettes at once and smoke them all. But then he says, like, I'm cool with it. But she's like, I'm not sure if I am. Like, not only is she only 20, but, like, she's already dealt with an abortion before. And obviously she has a very difficult relationship with her own mother. So there's a lot going on there. And then Nick Cage goes off. Eh?
I was just going to say, it means that like their idea of freedom changes, doesn't it? Because now they want to be free and just go where they want to go and not live in the real world. But as soon as you have a child, you're back into the real world.
Yes. Yeah. And they sort of, they're building up to this as well when she like vomits in the room, like, and they don't clean up this vomit the whole for 3 days.
Yeah,
they're so gross.
I would just clean that up immediately. But instead, she just goes to sleep. Okay, I guess if you're quite fucked up, that kind of makes sense. But like, after a couple of days, come on.
Yeah, and like Nick Cage just keeps mentioning, oh, that stinks, by the way. Like even days like that smells. It's like he's dropping hints. Like, well, I'm out all day. Aren't you gonna fucking clean that? So I swear, I reckon he's just dropping hints. Anyway, so he goes out, and Willem Defoe comes in, and even he mentions the smell of the puke, and he insists on going to the toilet. And then when he smells the puke, he just sort of figures out, oh, are you pregnant? And he starts getting fresh with her. And he starts like feeling her up. But then at one point, like she pushes him off, and then he grabs her and he's like really aggressive. He's like, I'll kill you. And then he starts seducing her. And like with the look on her face,
Seducing is a strong word.
Well, I only use the word seduce because they film it like she kind of likes it, and she feels guilty for having somewhat liked it a little bit.
You think so?
Well, I mean,
I was seeing it more that she was terrified.
He does this whole thing where he says, like, you've got to tell me that, you've got to ask me to fuck you and then I'll leave.
Yeah.
And she doesn't say it. Yeah. And she doesn't say it. But then when he starts feeling her up, she starts to sort of loosen up into the moment where she does eventually say it. And I think, and then he immediately is like, one day I will, but not today.
Oh my God.
Leaves.
Like the darkest moment in the film is followed by that humor. It's that's the one of the most fucked up parts of the movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting that you read it that way. That she was kind of into it, because I read it as her being a victim and afraid.
Well, she is a victim.
But I think it's still possible for her to be afraid, but still.
I think it's been played as like she did, get a somewhat of a thrill out of it, and she feels guilty because she's like, oh, sailor, and like she loves Nick Cage. But I think, don't get me wrong, she's definitely felt up, and it's not her fault. But I do think that there's an element of she enjoyed it, and she feels guilty that she enjoyed it.
I think I read it a bit differently, and I'm curious if I should watch that bit again, because I see it as her being afraid, but I still think she feels guilty.
I think
afraid
I
and
also
guilty. I'm not sure about the enjoyment.
I agree. I think she's afraid as well, but I also think that she likes that fear. Like, let's not forget that this is, she's been dating a man that literally bashed a man's skull in front of her and went hyper violent, and then pointed out her mum, essentially like warning her, like, it'll be you next, bitch. I think she does like the thrill of what you would call a man who is wild at heart.
Perhaps, even with those teeth.
I know. I mean, like, Willem Defoe is not attractive in this. Like, I get that women find him attractive, but if you find him attractive in this movie, I'm like, why? Like, look at his teeth. Why? They're awful. But I do think she got a thrill out of it, and I think that's just adds to how awful this moment is. But look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. You're probably more wrong, but who cares?
But as we said early on in the film, some stuff's not explained, and it's left that way for us,
Yeah.
for people like us to argue about later on, many years later.
Absolutely. And then when Willem Defoe leaves, she does click her heels together 3 times, just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, to be like, there's no place like home. But then Bobby immediately goes to see Sailor, and he offers him a robbery job. And he uses the fact that he knows that Lula's pregnant to sort of encourage him to get on the robbery. And Nick Cage looks really surprised. He's like, how the fuck do you know this? And then we go into the crystal ball again, Wizard of Oz style. We know that this is actually going to be a setup for Nick Cage because Bobby Theroux is working, or however, whatever his last name is. But Willem Defoe is actually, he's with Isabella Rossellini. But we see that Bobby is also like a silver dollar assassin, yeah. And this is where Laura Dern says the name of the movie, The World is Wild at Heart and Weird on Top. So then they go and do the robbery. And Sailor's having second thoughts. When Isabella Rossellini rocks up, why he doesn't see that as like the red flag to not do it, I don't know. But he still goes with them. They hold up the place. But then the cops show up, and they didn't plan for this because Bobby was going to kill Nick Cage, everyone in there, and then just leave with 100% of the money. But then the cops shoot down Willem Defoe, and Willem Defoe falls on his own shotgun.
Yeah.
And full on Nirvana's himself.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Nirvana's himself. I did read that apparently this film, when it first was released, it had like an X rating, and Lynch had to actually cut. That. Yeah, he had to cut that bit where Defoe shoots his head off to make it like an R in the US. Otherwise, yeah. But only that one scene.
I do like that sequence, though.
Of course, a character that fucked up has to have a fucked up ending, don't they?
Yeah. You want to see him have a fucked up ending.
Yeah.
And then I love this. They have like a cutaway where the 2 clerks at the store, they've survived the shooting, and they're looking for one of their hands. Like their hand got shot off, and they're looking for it, and a dog runs out eating the severed hand. And it's played as like a proper joke. It is very Lynchian. It's very strange. But then Sailor goes back to prison for about 6 years, and we cut again 6 years ahead. But before we cut ahead, the mum finds Lula, and Santos gives her a hug, and she literally screams the moment he embraces her. Like she knows Santos killed her dad. She knows they're all in on it, and she's just so disgusted by Santos now. And then we cut 6 years in the future. And Lula has a 6-year-old son or a 5-year-old son called Pace. What an awful name for a child.
Pace was the name.
So when Sailor gets out, the mum starts going crazy again, as per usual. Lula and Pace go to collect Sailor from the train station. They see another car accident with dead bodies. Again, like an omen. Then they pick up Sailor from the train station. Sailor meets Pace for the first time and gives him a toy lion, which is another reference to The Wizard of Oz that I didn't... This is the first time I've ever noticed that it's a toy lion, and it's obviously a reference. And then Lula pulls the car over. It looks like they're going to drive off into the sunset. she pulls the car over because she's a bit overwhelmed. And then Sailor gets out of the car and is like, look, I'll just leave. It's better for everyone. He doesn't know me. You haven't seen me in 6 years. What's the point of making everyone's lives difficult? I'll just fuck off. I'll walk back. And
reality setting in.
Yeah. And then he says to his son, I forget now who he says. He says, don't forget what something said to someone. Let's win before we're dancing at the end of a rope. And I mean, it's a good line, but I forget now. I keep forgetting who it was. I never remember who he says used to say this. So then he leaves, and Lula's like screaming after him, like, please come back and all this. But he just ignores her and leaves. But then he gets attacked by a gang, and they break his nose. And while he's sort of slipping in and out of consciousness on the ground, he's visited by the good witch, who's like, Sailor, you're wild at heart, and Lula loves you, and you gotta be happy with each other. And, yeah, get up, go get the girl you love. You gotta fight for her, Mr. Wild at Heart Man.
And he says, he replies something, I can't remember everything he says, but I'm wild at heart, and I haven't been something about growing up in a proper home or something, which he mentioned. And I didn't
have...
what was it he said?
Good parental figures.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that made me laugh. Yeah. Yeah, and he gets up and I feel sorry to say this, and I'm sorry if there's anyone from the US, particularly the southern part of the US, listening, but that accent, man, I just laugh my ass off whenever I hear someone say something like that.
Oh,
it's a funny accent. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think it's a funny accent to impersonate, but like, I can listen to that southern drawl accent for hours. I think it's so soothing. I really like it. I like that sort of, Elvis drawl. I love it. Anyway, so the good witch tells him, to be truly wild at heart, you have to fight for what is right. And then he stands up and he says to because before the gang beat him up, he uses a homophobic slur that we'll keep off the pod. And he goes, thank you, sorry fellas, for being with using my homophobic remarks. And also I'd like to thank you for teaching me a valuable lesson. Lula! And then he runs back to Lula's car. He's like jumping from car to car like Spider-Man to get through the traffic jam. And then, like, while he's doing that, we see, like, a picture of the mum. We can hear her going crazy, but it's a picture of the mum. And it sort of, like, dissolves away. And that might be the last Wizard of Oz reference, because obviously when the witch gets water thrown on her, she dissolves. I'm melting! So, like, I think that's what's going on there, because earlier Lula, like, splashed water on the picture and it's now dissolving. And then Cage catches up. He pulls her up onto the trunk, the bonnet of the car, and he starts to sing Love Me Tender, the song that he'd only ever sing for his wife. And then the movie's credits start rolling, and it's a one take, the whole singing performance was the camera rotating around them. And honestly, Craig, I don't know why, but this part of the movie, it just hits me so hard in the feels.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever not shed a tear getting to the end of this movie. I'm tearing up just thinking about the end. I am. It's so sweet. Love me tender. It's so good. I love this movie so much.
It is a very good movie. I'll tell you, I don't know why I didn't see this so long ago. I guess I just thought it would be too romantic for me. But it's a Lynch
It's
film,
perfect.
so it's going to be amazing.
It's
And
perfect.
I'm not sure what I haven't seen of his now, but I might go on a little bit of a Lynch spree
Yeah.
very soon, I think.
Honestly, this is maybe for me a perfect film.
A perfect
One of the
film.
few. Yeah.
Is there nothing that you would like say, could have been a bit better there? Or
Well, it's David
you're
Lynch.
like,
It's David Lynch, so like you can critique it all you want, but the fact is you're wrong.
well, to be honest, Matt, I'd probably give this film like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't seen what it's rated on IMDb either.
I
But it's at least an 8.
I've already written my rating down. I've already written my rating down, and in brackets I wrote next to it, "Don't care, Craig."
That's fair. That's fair. You warned me prior to recording this that this is like one of your top ever films.
Yeah.
So I knew there'll be some resistance. There's not going to be a discussion here.
There is no discussion. It's 10 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10.
Of course you're going to say that, yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's an amazing film.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think David Lynch is fantastic, and I really like all of his stuff. And I would probably say that there's other stuff he's made that's technically better than this. But for me, this movie just hits perfectly. Like, I think this movie is perfectly balanced within that David Lynchy way. I think it's perfect. I think it's wild at heart. It's amazing. I love it. I love this movie. The lowest I could possibly go is a 9.5.
Oh.
For me, this is still perfect. It's a top 5, maybe even top 3 movie for me. This definitely, like, one day I might have to do a top 10 list. But this is definitely towards the top end.
I don't like this. Sounds so stressful to come up with a top 10 list. I don't know. I
don't think I would find it stressful. I'd find it enjoyable.
But it would take you a while, though.
Yeah, it might. I might have to have some sort of like strategy for it. But I already know Wild at Heart's going to be in the top 5. I just know.
That's fair.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you want to know its actual IMDb rating?
No, because it's irrelevant to me.
I'm going to find it anyway, so you can deal with it.
No, it's irrelevant. It's a 9.5 minimum.
It is...
I would guess it's a 7.
Yes, it's 7.2. I would also rate it higher than that, to be honest. I don't know why it's 7.2, because it's a very good film.
It's perfect.
It's very fun. It captures you.
Yes.
It has the right amount of weirdness, but it still makes sense. It still has everything you need, and it's fun to watch.
It's linear enough that even though it's got trademark Lynchy madness, and this can be very entry level David Lynch. I think anyone can watch this and like appreciate what the Lynchian style is, while also not being too lost. I think there are other sort of more difficult watches that he's made. None of them, I would say, are bad. Like, just because I prefer this one just hits me in the feels. But, like, I think Lost Highway as well, it's a very similar sort of vibe. It's another road movie, but it's weirder, and weirder things happen. Mulholland Drive is very sort of wacky. Twin Peaks is wacky as fuck. Like, you know, I think it's not as wacky as typical Lynch. You might call it entry level Lynch, but I just think it's perfect. It's just perfect.
Yeah, I really love the music as well, and the feel. This,
like,
I don't know, early 90s, middle of nowhere, desert kind of vibe. There's something about it that really appeals to me. I don't know why. I'm really not smart enough to pick out what in my life makes that appeal to me, but it does a lot. So, yeah. it kind of enters that soft spot for me as well.
You just want to be a modern cowboy.
Maybe it's the cowboy feel, yeah. But it's also the Wild West kind of feel, and the freedom feel, but also the emptiness as well. And I don't know.
I mean, that is where the cowboys lived in the Wild West.
But it's not. But it's weird cowboys. It's crazy, strange cowboys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's alcoholic.
It's something different.
Alcoholic, drug-fueled cowboys in the 90s.
Yes, who won't live long because they're trying to rob banks all the time.
Yeah. Breaking parole, taking names.
Yeah. And going to jail again. And coming out 6 years later with a kid they don't know.
Well, I guess you must be my son. Nice to meet you. Man.
I think we should probably wrap this one up.
Oh, fine.
But it's been a great one to watch. And
I love it.
We should get more Lynch on the pod. I don't know why it's like season 3 and this is the first Lynch film we've done. Actually, I did actually watch the Dune film for the Dune episode we did like last year. So that kind of counts for me. But yeah, still that this counts. Is the first
it's not about
Lynch.
Kind of counts. It definitely counts.
All right, then it definitely counts then. But we should do more Lynch either way.
But I have to say, like, just for the listeners, Craig has been like, wanting me to do bad films because apparently it gets the best responses out of me, like getting angry at shit films. But no, wouldn't you much prefer hearing me talk about how much I love David Lynch and love Nick Cage? Like, come on, this is so much more fun to talk about Wild at Heart.
I don't know. I like punishing you. I don't know. It's very fun when you get pissed off. But also, maybe we can. You got to give you some good films here or there, otherwise you'll lose your mind. So
I will lose my mind. To be fair, it's a miracle you can watch a David Lynch film and not lose your mind.
That's true. All right,
man.
I guess we're good.
Well, I guess we'll have to wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for coming out to listen to us. We are Film Shrapnel. Go check us out on all of the social media platforms. And until next time, hang on. Until next time, right, I'm just trying to find a good quote in my notes.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do it.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Hang on. Okay, I've decided on the one I want. It's not the most famous line from the movie, but it's the one that made me laugh the most. And until next time, I'm eating my lunch!
All right. Bye.
Love you, Crispin Glover. Bye.
Shrapnel.